and I am excited to actually get to see somebody that you don't. And I don't know. It's just not somebody I've been able to cast before, and I think that's really cool. I think that's really awesome. So here we are, loaded into Jegantha to kick off this series in the Northeast. We have the red Zerg player. He is Cham.
And spawning over in the bottom left as our blue Protoss, it is Pacomike. Nate, have you learnt anything over the past year that you wish you knew way before?
Well, I guess the current price of stocks and cryptocurrency, is that a fair answer? If I'd known that a year ago, life would have been a lot easier.
like something that's bettered you, Like for me, I learned that I was getting super tired during the day, and then like really tired, like I had to nap and stuff. I realized I was always dehydrated, like super bad. Then I started drinking a lot of water. Then I started feeling thirsty, and I'm like, holy crap, this feels good.
I love hearing that. That's really awesome. I'm glad you've been able to find a good balance with that, Ben. To give you a serious answer to your question, the most important thing that the last year or two has taught me is that no matter what you want to do for other people, or no matter how much you care about other people or your friends and whatnot, it's there's nothing more important than making sure that you can at least be yourself. Self-care is a big thing that I think I didn't really understand super well, and I put a lot of work into that, spending time at home and with my little family here, and I think it's made me a much happier and more centered person. So that's what I would say. Being, we're always used to running around, we're doing these tournaments all over the world, and it's great and it's awesome, but being forced to take some time to just stop and chill, I think has really helped me find my happy place.
That's good. I mean, yeah, my advice is drink more water. And your advice is,
take care of yourselves. Your mental health's important. Stuff like that matters.
Absolutely. When you first started saying that thing, that sentence, I thought you were going to say like, best thing I've learned is when it comes to other people. And I thought you were going to say, screw them. I was like, wow, that's brutal. But
I can't have all the good things I have in my life without, the collective efforts of millions or billions that have come before me. So
oh, by the way, so this game, it's already kicking off. So Pacomike did start. Oh, look what he's doing, man. So he went for a Stalker to deny vision, and he's not done the normal thing where you're a Protoss player, you go for a Stargate, and then you do whatever after. But he has that pylon on the map. He's getting charged. Is he going to stop at like just 30-ish probes? He's taken guys off the gas already as well. He's just going to go crazy as Pacomike, isn't he?
Oh, okay. It's just you know what this reminds me of? I feel like this is something that we would expect out of like Haas from maybe like 2019, 2018, where we'd be like, I'm just going to do the craziest fast charge lot all-in of all time. We're going to get just enough gas to build my robo and do this, just mass zealots. And you pull all the probes off my geysers, except it looks like it's just going to be with that proxy gateway. It's just straight up. What is it, 4? Is that what it's going to total out to be? Just like a 4-gate charge lot, 2-base push. I don't know that there's a whole lot else. I guess he has a lot of minerals if he's not warping in zealots, but he's going to start the Nexus.
Weird build, man.
Very strange.
I thought he was going to now a Stargate as well. Pacomike, you are crazy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I have played a lot against him. I have seen him play a decent bit, but I'm a Terran player, so I have no idea what kind of weird builds he has versus Zerg. And this has already made things interesting because he's leveraging what's going to be a very aggressive sort of setup. But then you come over here and you're like, okay, he's warping in zealots to defend. They have charge, and it's like, well, okay, my lings are going to struggle in the choke point, but why does he have this early? Might be a question going through the mind of Cham. And now the zealots are here, hold positioning them in the mineral line of that third base. There's not a lot of drones to be killed at this expansion, but when he gets the zealot tucked in between the two mineral patches and can fight the lings, he actually, I guess he chews through a decent bit of that. And he didn't lose the third. He has a Stargate to follow it up, moving into Void Ray. So that should actually help, because Roaches, you might think to yourself, pretty good response to Charged Zealots early on. But there's a second Stargate coming too. So nice. It almost feels like it's a bit of misdirection, and like I want to attack you, but also not really, even though I committed a whole gateway and pylon to your base.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a funky build by Pacomike, and maybe he's hoping that Cham just overreacts to this and just goes for a big all-in from here. But, you know, the creep spread isn't good enough for the queens to get across. But, yeah, he's just sending in charge lots right now. And his economy is in decent shape as well. I mean, that third Nexus was super fast as well. But he has to be careful, because Cham has the capability to whip out a lot of units very quickly.
Yeah, that's Zerg, right? If you get those opportunities, you push out the larva, you get that big production wave going, and then you run into a wall of Void Rays, because 2 are coming out at a time. So I don't think it feels like he almost like cheated his way to this quick third base off of this, like what was supposed to be aggressive opening, but then his follow-up is smooth enough that the counterplay isn't really on the table. So I'm wondering now if, I mean, honestly, this looks like the build that Jim Rising wanted to do, but, you know, didn't exactly have the playbook laid out, because he's getting the fleet beak, and I'm guessing maybe Void Ray speed, Void Ray hit squad into carriers with this. Seems like the most reasonable way for this to go. I guess just missing +1 air. If he doesn't get that, then maybe he does something else, but I would be shocked if that was the case.
Yeah, he's kind of got the potential to do anything. Cham going for that Spire along with Roach speed and Roach upgrades. I mean, the fact that he loves Roaches so much in ZVT, it's no surprise that he wants to go for them in this matter as well. They're far more likely here. Cham just making sure he's trying to get some info about what's going on, and he does see the Void Rays nice and early here before they arrive at any one of his bases. But it feels like that's playing into his hands with the inevitable mutas, right?
If the Void Rays get there fast enough and are forced to go back at like the right time, they won't get caught by the mutas, right? Like in a weird hypothetical situation. But if they kind of go around and he doesn't really know and he gets jumped, maybe he doesn't have that recall ready, or I mean, the mutas won't be, even if he were to just build 9, right? He's not going to be able to one-shot these, so he shouldn't lose everything to it, but there's a little bit of heads up time that could solidify this, because I mean, he has a Stargates and a Fleet Beacon, and he's getting +1 air. So actually, these Roaches, if they bring the Void Rays back before any of them can get sniped across the field, might be the best case scenario. If he could recall to this, because then once the mutas show up, as long as you don't instantly die to them, you can still get the Phoenix out. But I don't know. The Void Rays didn't come back. I don't know if the recall to the wrong base. So he's going to lose all the probes here. Doesn't lose the Nexus, but still a pretty tremendous amount of damage to take. And if it's all left at home, then I don't think it should be too difficult for him to handle the mutas, right?
They're going to deal damage. Like that's
now the Void Rays are on the map too.
Yeah, and I mean, these Void Rays, they're just hunting down. They're going to the other side of the map. And Corruptors are being made, which is an interesting choice. There's only 4 queens. I'm actually getting a little bit scared for Cham here. He is keeping the Spore alive with nice transfusions, but I think this is actually a little bit scary on both ends.
Yeah, it's like you have those Stargates, you have all this stuff. Corruptors are coming out at his base, but the Void Rays are actually good against these. So these are some of the only units that actually can't help defend against this, while the Mutalisks are ravaging everything else. Although I will say, at some point, we have to keep in mind, 62 probes are dead. So whichever way any of these army fights could go, Cham has responded by protecting his workers. Pacomike literally had no way to keep his probes alive in this scenario. So even if his army completely wipes the floor with Cham's, he has to straight up win the game right now, because I don't see him bouncing back from a 40 worker discrepancy.
Me neither, but those Zealots are kind of going a little uncontested here, Nate, and they do have +1 as well, so they're dealing with these links. I mean, this game's getting way closer than it should have been. Cham was up at 80 drones with all of this, but you are right. It does look like he will clean this up eventually, and he does save enough drones that he's not in too terrible a situation. And he's still got all the hatcheries still alive. And Pacomike, it was a really nice try. For a moment there, I was like, maybe it's working. But yeah, Cham mustered his forces together pretty nicely.
Yeah. And he's not going to give up. He has a decent amount of gas in the bank. So like if he took all of his remaining probes and only put them on minerals, he could try to burn through some of the gas. But I just don't see an answer to, like, if you want Phoenix to deal with the mutas, great. But then the Corruptors are going to destroy you. You don't have infinite energy for the Roaches. If you want Void Rays, great. But even with the speed upgrade, they're not chasing down these Mutalisks. So he's always going to be able to pull you apart from two different directions. And it's the way that it all went down. If he had recalled those Void Rays immediately to the third Nexus before the Roach lane killed the probes, and then he just kept them at his base, like he could have responded to the mutas with those. It just set the Zealots to counterattack, but it just seemed like just got really surprised by the Mutalisks. There was absolutely no sign that he was aware that was happening until it was far beyond too late.
And these Roaches, they were the nail in the coffin for Pacomike in game one. And Cham, I mean, he was definitely in the lead for a lot of it. He dealt with the weirdness of Pacomike pretty damn well as well. Got a bit close, maybe closer than it should have been as well. Maybe held down that drone key a little bit too hard, but overall, pretty cool game. And I like the quirky style from Pacomike.
Yeah, I actually loved his strategy. Like the concept behind his build seemed to flow very well. He was able to defend his third base because he had charged Zealots very early in the game, and he was in a position to be aggressive, which, you know, if Cham had been way too greedy, maybe if he had skipped the Roach Warren, I don't know, then having 4 gateways and one of them being proxied forward to attack could have actually paid off huge. Maybe he would have just run away with it. So the transition was very smooth into the Stargate, but I just kind of came down to not being super aware of where Cham was trying to take the game from that point. So game 2, hopefully be a little bit closer, a little bit tighter, maybe go a little bit longer. I'm just enjoying myself here, Benjamin.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this was I thought it was going to be a good game. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a super duper all in, but it wasn't. It was just like a weird way of going about a fast third, and it was like, oh, I haven't seen this before. You saw how it could have dealt damage if Cham was a worse player or less prepared, but he dealt with it all pretty damn well. And forcing that warp in on the other side, like at the Nexus, instead of on the other side of the map, that also allowed Cham a lot of time to really know what he was dealing with, which, yeah, that was actually maybe a 200 IQ play there to find out what exactly was going on.
Yeah, and you know, all credit to Cham too. It takes a pretty good degree of confidence to know that you're up against a double Stargate build and that your opponent is going for air upgrades and has a fleet beacon, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna just fly mutas into the main base because the Void Rays are just a little bit outside the third, and I know they won't get here in time to save the mineral line. That's the kind of like cold, calculated decision making that puts Cham on top of this region generally, and that's why he won the game. If those mutas tried to chase down the Void Rays outside there, the whole entire thing probably changes as he just gets Anion Pulse Crystals, builds 4 Phoenix, and then the mutas are worthless.
Yeah, definitely. It was all like Cham's play. I don't want to say it was like Bly's, but it was like the Roaches, the muta switches. I've even seen Cyril do it on that map too. Seems like a very good map for mutas and what have you. Light Shade, though, we are getting the countdown going now. This could be the last game of the evening here, Nate, if Pacomike does lose this one. Defeating Eric already to 0 is pretty damn impressive, but Cham, he's a different beast entirely, it feels. So, yeah, he's got his work cut out for him.
Yes, he does, as we load into Light Shade for our next map. Can this man bring it back? In the Northwest, he is the blue Protoss player. He's Pacomike.
Pacomike just seems so happy. He's got like a little dude walk into the room and he's like, yeah, dude, I'm about to Void Ray this kid, you know? Smiley as hell. I love it. And spawning over in the bottom right is the red circuit is Cham.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like there were a couple of definitely up in the air moments in that first map is mostly what I was saying with my analysis. So in this game, I still feel like these players actually might end up being a little bit more even than maybe we were talking about in the predictions. Still, I guess the question becomes whenever we get to see a new player or a player that we just don't really get a tremendous amount of screen time or air time with, we always ask ourselves, is it going to be more of what we've already seen? Or are they sort of like, I'm here because I can do one thing very well? Or is it I'm here because I have a variety of strategies and I'm not that easy to prep against? And that's the answer that I'm looking for to Muslim. Is Pacomike going to completely mix it up, or are we going to just kind of see him try again with what he did last game?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because you and I, we have no idea about Pacomike. He's, I've heard the name. He's obviously been talked about, but I actually haven't got to see many of his games at all. The fact here that his life's on the line, he's against Cham for potentially like a top 4 finish in this region. That's awesome to hear. He is the last Protoss standing. Seems like a nice, happy chappy as well. He's got his own swing on things, which I also like.
Indeed, he does. I've always felt like Cham was one of those players that was really good at capitalizing on those aggressive opportunities, and we've seen him play, plenty of macro games, but he's still someone that kind of knows when he can go for the throat, so to speak, and that's what makes him a fun player to watch. And I'm sure that if Pacomike leaves an opportunity available for him, he will reach for that too. However, this time, instead of the rush to the charge, it is a Stargate in the natural, right under the Overlord. So Cham knows everything that's going on in this game so far. And he will most likely realize that, hey, I don't have to worry about charge zealots coming at me, which means maybe Pacomike's not going to try to take that third base at the same time that he did. Or maybe he'll just build a Void Ray and use that to take the third this time instead.
Yeah, different game entirely here. And like Cham knows exactly what he's up against with the Stargate. He knows the build at least. And they're both going to be like, you always kind of know what the Zerg's doing at this point. He gets to, he actually goes in with that Adept and gets a drone kill for his troubles here. Will he get a second one? Oh, that's actually not bad.
A couple drones, little poke. It's going to be getting another Adept back home. And it is that Void Ray, which will pulverize this Overlord. So what do you think? Third base, then second Stargate, and just try to do what he was doing last game a little bit faster? Or is this like another sort of like misdirection, perhaps?
I've no clue. Like, if this was me, Nate, I'd be going greedy, double Stargate into like triple, quadruple, even 8 Stargate play. Like, I'm mental, when I play Protoss. Like, I really give no. Yeah, you get the gist. But going up against Cham, like, I don't know. I would love to see what Pacomike's capable of in kind of like a more standard play. But standard, it can be double Stargate, which is exactly what he's going to go for. And he's done it in a respectable way as well, getting the third Nexus super damn quickly with it. Very economy focused here is Pacomike.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a smoother way, I suppose, of doing what he was doing before without making the early investment into the Zealots, and very quickly too into the +1 air as he continues to build Void Rays with that second Stargate finishing. And he doesn't have a bunch of Zealots to defend it from the Lings this time, but an Adept between a Pylon and a Nexus still takes a while to kill. And when there's a shield battery there, it takes several whiles to kill.
Yeah, interesting to get a second gateway, because like normally you get the second gateway just to block the front, but he was like, no, I'm going to get the Stargate to block the front and then make a second gateway. So I wonder how that's going to come into fruition. Maybe he's just going to be one of these guys that pops down a few Adepts and hopes to sneak them into a base later on just to deal a little bit of damage. But yeah, I'm interested, because now we've got a real, like, this is a normal standard opening from both of them, relatively speaking. So I'm looking forward to see what they're both capable of now of.
For sure. And now Void Ray is just kind of still looking around, poking the creep back. Queen's going to shove that away. Do not want to lose that. Sees the Queens making their way towards the third base. And the hand is on the table. So how will he react? Most of the time, you feel like if you give up the base that they're going for, all they do is just move on to the next one, and you usually don't have that much time to rebuild everything. But he's gonna, he was about to start a bunch of shield batteries at that third. He only starts one of them. I don't think one is going to be enough, even with the supercharge, even with all the salty tears of chat combined. I don't think that one battery will stop the whole entire army from cracking this down. But we are about to find out, the Muslim. The Lings are coming up a little bit forward. It's just Void Rays versus Queens and 2 Stalkers.
Yeah, I mean, the supplies, they're real damn close here. And I mean, the double gateway comes in very handy for whipping out some units that can do something. +1 still not done. We've got 10 seconds for those big upgrades coming in. Shield battery overcharge is putting in big work, though. Focusing down the Ravagers, I like that play. Nice transfusions by Cham as a counter, though, as well. And here, +1's finished, along with Flux Veins. This is cool.
Yeah, he's trading out against these, but the problem is, I mean, there's still so many queens with this, and if he just focuses down the queens, the ground units can still blow up the base. They can still go for the workers. If he focuses those guys down, then I mean, then the queens just get to shoot forever at the Void Rays, and Void Rays do not do any bonus damage to these units. Ravagers don't count as armored units. Queens do not count as armored units. So the Void Rays, they do their tickle beam against these guys, and if you don't have like 14 of them, I don't think you're taking it to this queen count the way that it is, and that's that. GG, Pacomike taken down.